Did you know about the 12 foods that many families quietly stock up on in case another wave of panic buying hits? Just a few days ago, the active Kilauea volcano in Hawaii erupted again, sending lava soaring over 1,000 feet into the air. When news like this spreads, the usual reaction is almost immediate. Stores quickly run out of supplies, and shelves are emptied within just a couple of days. Many families no longer wait for panic. They start stocking up on food in advance. And on today's list, at number 7, is one ingredient that most people only think about when the shelves begin to empty. 12. Chia seeds. There's a tiny food item that most people barely notice as they pass by it in the supermarket aisle. It doesn't stand out, it isn't packaged in a flashy way, and at first glance it doesn't seem like anything special at all. But here's what's interesting. If you look inside the kitchens of families who actively prepare for long-term food storage, this small ingredient is almost always there. That ingredient is chia seeds. When food prices begin to climb or concerns start growing about empty shelves, many families shift their focus toward foods that are compact, long-lasting, and highly nutritious. Chia seeds tend to show up on that list, not because they're trendy or widely talked about, but because they quietly get the job done. Just a single spoonful of chia seeds delivers a solid boost of fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, and plant-based protein. These nutrients help support steady energy levels and keep you feeling full for longer periods of time. So even if you're working with a very simple meal, adding just a small spoon of chia seeds can make it feel more balanced and satisfying. Another big reason people value chia seeds is how easy they are to store. When kept in an airtight container and placed in a cool, dry spot, they can last for years without needing refrigeration. There's no need for electricity or specialized storage systems. Just a sealed jar on a shelf is more than enough. On top of that, they take up very little space. A single small bag can hold dozens of servings, making it incredibly efficient compared to bulkier stored foods. While other items can quickly fill up your storage area, a few compact bags of chia seeds can go a long way in boosting the nutritional value of many meals. What really makes chia seeds stand out, though, is how versatile they are in the kitchen. You can mix them into porridge, blend them into smoothies, stir them into yogurt, add them to baking mixes, or simply sprinkle them over everyday dishes. With just a small amount, you can turn a basic meal into something more filling and nutritionally complete. That's why, despite their simple appearance, chia seeds offer 3 key benefits that many families prioritize: a long shelf life, strong nutritional value, and incredible flexibility in everyday cooking. And for that reason, more and more people are quietly keeping a few bags tucked away in their kitchen cabinets, just in case grocery shopping ever becomes less reliable. Honestly, I never realized how useful chia seeds could be. It's surprising how one small bag can stretch across so many different meals. So in this list, which item do people consistently make sure to keep stocked in their kitchen cabinets? 11. Dried seaweed. When people think about food storage, they often imagine large sacks of rice or heavy cans stacked on shelves. But not every useful pantry item comes in a big or bulky form. In fact, some of the most practical ingredients are incredibly light and thin, so much so that you can hold an entire stack in one hand. Dried seaweed is a perfect example of that. Across many Asian cuisines, seaweed has been valued for centuries as a natural and reliable source of nutrients from the ocean. Those delicate, paper-thin sheets are actually packed with essential minerals like iodine, iron, and calcium. Iodine plays a key role in supporting thyroid function, while iron and calcium contribute to maintaining energy levels and strengthening bones. Because of this, many people see seaweed as an easy and effective way to add important minerals to everyday meals. What makes it even more appealing is how little you need to notice a difference. Just a few pieces can instantly enhance a bowl of noodles, plain rice, or even a simple soup, giving it a deeper and more satisfying flavor. On days when meals are basic or thrown together quickly, small additions like this can make everything feel more complete. I remember visiting a friend once and opening his kitchen cabinet, only to find a small section neatly filled with packs of seaweed. I was a bit surprised at first, but he just laughed and explained that he always keeps them on hand. According to him, even a tiny amount can transform a simple dish into something much more enjoyable. Sometimes it's nothing more than a bowl of hot noodles, but with a few strips of seaweed, the flavor becomes noticeably richer. Another reason dried seaweed is so popular among families is its convenience. There's no complicated preparation involved. You simply open the package and add it directly to your food. In just seconds, you've boosted both the taste and the nutritional value of your meal. On top of that, seaweed is incredibly space efficient. A single small package can stretch across many meals while taking up almost no room in your pantry. So even though it may look simple and unassuming, dried seaweed offers some very clear advantages. It provides natural minerals, enhances the flavor of basic meals, and is incredibly easy to store and use at home. 10. Dried mushrooms. Have you ever noticed how many kitchens keep a small bag of dried mushrooms tucked away in a corner of the cabinet? And yet somehow, they end up being used in all kinds of different dishes? At first glance, dried mushrooms don't look like much. They're small, a bit wrinkled, and not particularly eye-catching. But once you soak them in warm water, they begin to expand and release a deep, savory flavor known as umami. This natural richness can make a dish taste fuller and more satisfying, even if you're only using a small amount. Just a few slices are often enough to noticeably transform familiar meals. Whether you're adding them to a bowl of hot soup, a pot of noodles, a sauce, or a slow-cooked stew, dried mushrooms bring a depth that makes the dish feel more complete. That's exactly why many cuisines rely on them as a foundational ingredient for building flavor. Another thing that makes dried mushrooms so valuable is how they elevate simple meals. When you're working with basic ingredients like rice, noodles, or vegetables, even a small addition of dried mushrooms can make everything taste more interesting and well-balanced. They don't just add flavor, they help give the entire meal a richer, more rounded feel. Beyond taste, dried mushrooms are also appreciated for how practical they are to store. As long as they're kept in a dry place, they can last for a long time without losing their quality. That makes them an easy, reliable ingredient to keep on hand and use whenever needed. They're also incredibly efficient. A single small bag can stretch across many meals since you only need a little to make a noticeable impact. Because of this, dried mushrooms are both space-saving and highly versatile in everyday cooking. For all these reasons, they're often seen as a small but incredibly valuable addition to the kitchen. They bring depth to a wide range of dishes, require minimal effort to use, and can be stored for long periods without worry. If you enjoy simple ingredients that can make a big difference in your meals, you'll want to keep going, because the next items on this list might surprise you even more. 9. Miso or instant miso soup. Have you ever noticed that in many Japanese kitchens, there's almost always a container of miso, or a few packets of instant miso soup sitting quietly in the cabinet? Miso itself is a traditional fermented food made from soybeans, salt, and natural cultures. The fermentation process can take months, and in some cases even years, to fully develop. That slow process is exactly what gives miso its deep, complex, and satisfying flavor. At the same time, miso is packed with beneficial nutrients, including plant-based protein, natural enzymes, and probiotic bacteria that support healthy digestion. One of the things that really sets miso apart is how convenient it is to use. All you need is a cup of hot water, and within minutes, you have a warm bowl of miso soup ready to enjoy. That makes it an ideal option on busy days, or when you want something light, quick, and comforting without much effort. But miso isn't limited to just soup. It can also be used to enrich the flavor of many other dishes. A single spoonful can deepen the taste of broths, sauces, or stews, giving them a richer and more layered profile. Thanks to its natural umami, miso adds depth without requiring a long list of additional seasonings. Another reason miso is so popular is its versatility. It pairs well with noodles, vegetables, tofu, and simple soups, allowing you to create a wide variety of meals with just one ingredient. In that sense, something as small as a container of miso can open the door to countless flavorful combinations. Modern instant miso soup packets make things even easier. They're compact, easy to store, and designed for quick use. Just add hot water, and they're ready. This makes them especially useful for families who want to keep a few simple, ready-to-go meal options in their kitchen. So miso isn't just another type of soup. It represents a blend of long-standing fermentation traditions, natural nutritional benefits, and the convenience needed for modern life. But there's another item on this list that has an even longer history. It was once carried on ships and used during long expeditions hundreds of years ago because of its ability to last for extended periods while still providing nutrition. We'll get to that one very soon. 8. Japanese curry blocks. Have you ever noticed how these small curry blocks seem to always have a place in many kitchen cabinets? At first, they might look like nothing more than simple seasoning cubes, easy to overlook. But the moment you drop one into a pot of hot water, something surprisingly satisfying starts to happen. As the block slowly dissolves, the liquid begins to thicken and take on a deep brown color. At the same time, the aroma of blended spices starts to fill the kitchen, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere. What makes this even better is how little effort it takes. There's no need for complicated cooking skills. Just a pot of water, a few chopped potatoes, some carrots, and whatever protein you have on hand, whether it's meat or even beans. Add a couple of curry blocks, and within a short time, those basic ingredients are transformed into a rich, hearty, and flavorful meal. That's exactly why so many families rely on Japanese curry blocks as a go-to solution when time is limited. Each block is actually a concentrated blend of multiple spices and ingredients, carefully cooked down and combined. These often include turmeric, pepper, onion, garlic, and thickening agents that give the curry its signature texture. All of that flavor is packed into a small, solid cube. So when it melts, it creates a well-balanced sauce that's easy for almost anyone to prepare successfully. But the appeal of curry blocks goes beyond just taste. They're incredibly versatile. You can pair them with vegetables, meat, beans, noodles, or simply serve them over plain white rice. One small box can stretch across several meals, making it both practical and efficient. They're also designed with convenience in mind: compact packaging, easy storage, and the ability to use only what you need each time. Because of that, many families keep a few boxes tucked away as a reliable backup for quick meals. They may be small, but they're incredibly useful when you need to put together something warm and satisfying without much effort. And if you think these compact seasoning blocks are already impressively convenient, the next item on this list has a feature that surprises even more people. 7. Canned tomatoes. If you could only keep a handful of essential ingredients in your kitchen, many experienced home cooks would almost certainly include canned tomatoes on that list. At first, they don't seem like anything special, just simple cans sitting quietly on a supermarket shelf. But the moment you open one and pour it into a pot, it quickly becomes the base for countless familiar dishes. From a steaming pot of pasta to a comforting bowl of tomato soup, a rich sauce for noodles or rice, or even a slow-cooked stew meant to feed the whole family, canned tomatoes often sit at the heart of it all. What's interesting is that many people don't realize canned tomatoes can actually offer more consistent flavor than fresh ones, especially when it comes to cooking. Because they're processed and sealed at peak ripeness, their natural balance of sweetness and acidity is preserved in a very reliable way. But their true value often shows up during the most ordinary moments in the kitchen. There are days when the fridge is nearly empty, maybe just a couple of onions left, some dried pasta, and a single can of tomatoes tucked away in the cabinet. With just a bit of time and a few simple steps, those basic ingredients can come together to create a warm, satisfying sauce for dinner. That's exactly why canned tomatoes are often thought of as a foundational building block in the kitchen. They may not always be the main highlight of a dish, but they quietly support and bring together so many comforting meals. And when it comes to simple ingredients that can quickly turn into something complete and filling, the next item on this list offers a completely different kind of advantage. 6. Chickpeas. There's a humble ingredient that can take a very simple dish and make it feel far more filling and complete. That ingredient is chickpeas. At first glance, they don't look like much, just small, round beans. But once you start using them in the kitchen, you realize they have a unique ability to transform light meals into something more satisfying. You can blend them into a smooth, creamy hummus, toss them into salads to make them more filling, stir them into soups for added richness, or cook them with vegetables in a warm, comforting stew. What many people don't realize, though, is that a single can of chickpeas can sometimes be enough to build an entire meal, if you use it the right way. Add a drizzle of olive oil, a bit of garlic, and maybe a handful of vegetables, and within minutes you have a simple yet nourishing dish ready to go. Chickpeas stand out because they're rich in plant-based protein and fiber. These two nutrients help keep you feeling full for longer and provide steady energy throughout the day. And their usefulness often becomes clear during the most everyday situations. You might be having a busy day with very little time to cook, but still want to put together something decent for yourself or your family. In moments like that, a single can of chickpeas can serve as the base for a quick, warm, and nutritious meal. That's why many kitchens treat chickpeas as a reliable backup ingredient. They're compact, easy to work with, and always ready when you need them. And as this list continues, there are still more ingredients ahead that can turn the simplest foods into something surprisingly memorable in their own way. 5. Instant noodle blocks. Have you ever noticed that there's one ingredient that seems to show up in almost every kitchen, yet is often dismissed as too simple? That ingredient is instant noodle blocks. At first glance, they appear to be nothing more than compact blocks of dried noodles. But the moment you drop them into hot water, everything changes quickly. The noodles soften, steam begins to rise, and the familiar aroma of the seasoning fills the kitchen. In just a few minutes, you have a steaming bowl of noodles ready to enjoy. What's interesting is that most people don't just eat them plain. In reality, instant noodle blocks are often treated as a flexible base for many different meals. Add a handful of fresh greens, and the dish feels lighter and more refreshing. One egg can make it more filling, while a few pieces of canned fish or meat can turn it into a complete, satisfying meal. This versatility is exactly what makes instant noodles such a convenient staple. They cook quickly and can be combined with a wide variety of ingredients, making them useful for many different situations. Sometimes, a dish doesn't need to be complicated to be valuable. On a hectic day, a simple hot bowl of noodles can provide warmth, comfort, and satisfaction. That's why many families keep a few packs tucked away in the pantry, compact, easy to store, and ready whenever a quick meal is needed. And speaking of dry ingredients that can sustain meals over a long period, the next item on this list offers a completely different type of advantage. 4. Whole wheat pasta. Dry pasta is a staple in countless kitchens, but whole wheat pasta has a few qualities that set it apart from regular pasta. Unlike standard pasta, whole wheat pasta retains more of the grain's natural components. That means it's higher in fiber and helps you feel fuller for longer after a meal, making it a popular choice for simple dishes that still provide steady energy. But what truly makes pasta so valuable in the kitchen is its versatility. With just a pot of boiling water and a few basic ingredients, you can turn it into a complete, satisfying meal. A bit of dry pasta, a can of tomatoes, and a drizzle of cooking oil are enough to get started. Add some canned fish or vegetables, and the dish becomes even more hearty and nutritious. In just a few minutes, you can serve up a hot, filling plate of pasta, a simple meal that still feels substantial. Another advantage is storage. Dry pasta can last a very long time if kept in a cool, dry place, which is why many families always keep a few packs tucked away in the pantry as a reliable backup. Sometimes, just a handful of basic ingredients is all it takes to create a complete meal. And on this list, there are even smaller ingredients that pack a surprisingly strong nutritional punch. In fact, one of the upcoming foods provides a significant amount of protein from just a single small can. That's exactly why many households make sure to keep a few cans stocked in the pantry. And we're about to get to it right now. 3. Canned fish. There's something quietly fascinating about canned fish. In many kitchens, a few cans sit on the shelf for months, or even years, barely noticed. They aren't fancy or trendy, and most people don't get particularly excited when picking them up at the store. Yet when a quick meal is needed, canned fish often becomes one of the most practical and reliable ingredients around. Just open the lid, and it's almost ready to eat. You can serve it with bread, mix it into a salad, stir it into a steaming bowl of noodles, or pair it with plain rice. What many people overlook is that canned fish is packed with protein and omega-3 fatty acids, both of which are essential for the body. Here's an interesting historical tidbit. For centuries, canned fish was widely used on long journeys because it could be stored for months or even years while still retaining most of its nutritional value. While fresh foods spoil in just a few days, a single can of fish can remain on the shelf almost indefinitely. Sometimes the kitchen may feel nearly empty, but with just one small can, a bit of rice or a few noodles, a meal can still come together. In many homes, the simplest pantry items often prove to be the most dependable. A friend once told me he always keeps a few cans of fish on hand. Not because he eats them every day, but because with just one can, dinner can always start. And speaking of pantry staples that deliver an even clearer source of energy, the next item on this list is something familiar in nearly every household. 2. Canned meat. If you peek into the pantry of many households, chances are you'll spot a few cans of meat quietly sitting on the shelf. At first glance, they seem ordinary, just simple cans of meat. But in reality, canned meat offers a clear and valuable advantage, a ready source of protein and energy. Unlike many ingredients that need long cooking times, most canned meats are already fully cooked. That means when you need them, they're almost instantly usable. A few slices can go into a sandwich, stir into a hot bowl of noodles, mix into fried rice, or become part of a simple stew. One small can serve as the foundation for multiple meals. What makes canned meat especially valuable in a pantry is its stability. When sealed properly, it can last a long time without requiring special storage conditions. While fresh foods often need to be eaten within a few days, canned meat can sit quietly on the shelf, ready for whenever you need it. Sometimes, all it takes is opening a can, tossing a few pieces into a hot pan, and letting the aroma fill the kitchen. In minutes, a simple, satisfying meal is ready. I remember a friend who came home late one night. He opened a can, sliced a few pieces into a pan with leftover rice, stirred it for a few minutes, and suddenly the kitchen smelled like a full, freshly cooked meal. Sometimes it's not about creating a complicated dish. It's about having a reliable, ready-to-use food source at home. And on this list, the final item is even smaller, but it carries a benefit that surprises many people. 1. Cooking oil. There's one ingredient that nearly everyone uses every day, yet very few people think about keeping extra on hand. That ingredient is cooking oil. Unlike staples like rice or noodles, oil isn't usually considered a main food. But once you cook regularly, you quickly realize just how essential it is. Many dishes can hardly get started without even a small amount of oil. Imagine a hot pan on the stove. Pour in a spoonful of oil, and within seconds, a gentle sizzle begins. Vegetables, eggs, meat, or fish. Everything becomes more fragrant and appetizing as it hits that thin layer of hot oil. Oil isn't just about flavor. It's also an important source of fat, which the body uses for energy. Fats actually provide more energy per gram than carbohydrates or protein, and they help the body absorb essential vitamins like A, D, E, and K. Another reason cooking oil is so valuable is its shelf life. Stored in a cool, dark place, many oils can maintain their quality for 1 to 2 years, making them both practical and easy to keep on hand. But there's a practical truth many home cooks discover only after cooking often. You might have rice, noodles, vegetables, or even canned fish. But without a bit of oil to start, many simple meals suddenly become much harder to prepare. Sometimes all it takes is 1 spoonful of oil in a hot pan to get a meal moving. I remember a friend who went almost a week without buying oil. His kitchen still had rice, eggs, and vegetables, but cooking suddenly felt much more inconvenient. Since then, he always keeps a few bottles stocked in the pantry. That's probably why in so many households, cooking oil is one of the few ingredients people rarely let run out completely. What seems like a small, ordinary ingredient is actually the starting point for almost every meal. Looking back at this list, most of the foods are familiar kitchen staples. They aren't expensive or exotic, just simple ingredients you can find in nearly any supermarket. Yet when you combine them, canned tomatoes, pasta, beans, canned fish, you can create countless quick, comforting, and satisfying meals. That's why families keep these basics on hand, not out of fear, but to make everyday life a little easier. I'm curious, what's the one item from today's list you always make sure to keep at home? Share it in the comments below. And if you enjoy videos about food and practical kitchen tips, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss the next ones.